I first started growing this mesmerizingly beautiful succulent about a year ago. My immediate reaction was to put it in the greenhouse as I thought it's going to be one of those hybrids, touchy and a pain in the backside to grow. But to my great surprise, Lovely Rose ended up being anything but. It's hardy, can handle rain and propagates easily. Graptoveria Lovely Rose is said to be Graptoveria Titubans mutation, though I've seen other origin claims. This to me indicates that its origins are unknown. In any case, this is a superb cultivar and I'd recommend it to anyone, even beginners. Lovely Rose grows small rosettes to about 7 cm or 2.8 inches. It has a clumping habit, and when the offsets are kept intact, it will keep spreading as long as there's enough space and nutrients. Mature clumps can measure over 20 cm or 8 inches. Lovely Rose can grow a bit tall to about 15 cm or 6 inches, though it tends to fall to the ground eventually as the rosette gets too heavy for the stalk. The leaves are short, plump and pointy at the tips. They are covered in a dusty substance called the farina, which acts like a sunscreen and protects the leaves from sunburn. The color is blue-green during the warmer months and can turn silvery grey with a hint of purple in winter months or when the plant is stressed. Lovely Rose is a sun lover and will grow best in a sunny spot outdoors. It will tolerate outdoor shade and filtered light, but can grow leggy and stretched as a result. Although Lovely Rose is, in my experience, not too susceptible to rot and other annoying fungal disease, in shade it is more likely to become a host. Unfortunately, this succulent is not suitable to be grown indoors long term and will likely die unless you have plant growing lights, a sunroom or a huge sunny window. Lovely Rose will happily grow in pots as well as frost-free gardens. If grown in pots, repotting every year or so will ensure lots of offsets and a healthy plant. It can also be grown in small pots, but once root bound, the growth will grind to a halt. If you only get light frosts and no snow during winter, you can grow this magnificent succulent in the garden. To help it establish and grow better, mix any type of potting mix in with the garden soil. Roots of most small growing succulents are quite thin and can find it hard to break through hard garden soil. By cultivating and mixing in a bit of potting mix, you'll add nutrients and improve the structure. When planting in the garden, it's best to choose a sloped raised beds or a spot where water doesn't pool after the rain. In pots, the absolute best potting medium is a succulent potting mix. It will have the right pH and nutrients tailored to succulent plants. As mentioned earlier, when planting in the garden, make sure to cultivate the soil. Lovely Rose is a tough little plant that will tolerate both overwatering and drought. It can be left out in the rain, but do make sure it's planted in well-draining potting mix, and if in pots, there should be a drainage hole. If in a greenhouse or undercover, water well once the potting mix dries up completely from the previous watering. In summer, this could mean watering a couple of times per week and almost not at all during the cold months. Temperature-wise, the Lovely Rose will tolerate heat well over 40 degrees Celsius or 104 Fahrenheit, though it should be moved out of the sun once it gets this hot. If exposed to direct sun during extreme heat waves, the leaves can suffer sunburn and the plant could die, especially when planted in dark-colored pots. Lovely Rose is a bit frost tolerant but is not likely to survive when frost settles for too long or when it snows. Frost cloth can be used to protect your succulents from the occasional frost, but if your climate gets snow, I'd advise to bring this plant indoors for the duration. This succulent can be propagated from leaf, cuttings or seed. In my opinion, the seed is not worth trying as it's a super long process and it can be hard to find a reliable seed seller. For fast results, try propagating cuttings of offsets. Wait until there's a bit of a stalk and cut with clean scissors. The cuttings should then be left to dry in a shaded dry spot for a minimum of 24 hours. They can then be planted into pots filled with succulent potting mix and transplanted into the garden or a bigger pot once enough roots have developed. First roots should start growing in 2 to 4 weeks and the plant will be ready to transplant in approximately 2 to 3 months. If you want loads of plants, leaf propagation is the way to go. Graptoveria Lovely Rose has a great success rate when it comes to propagating leaves. Last year I propagated over 100 leaves and every single one of them grew a leaf baby. The leaves are very easy to remove, which is a huge plus. Make sure the leaf comes off entire without any of it left on the stalk. I leave the leaves on a tray in a bright bud covered greenhouse and wait for leaves to emerge. I then plant them in trays or pots filled with succulent potting mix and wait a few months until the roots have grown well into the pot. To get a fuller pot faster, you can put 3 or more leaves in. In my experience, propagating is best done in spring. Summer is usually also good, but do be careful to protect your cuttings and leaves from strong sun as they burn easily. In climates where autumn and winter are mild, you can also propagate cuttings at the beginning of autumn. Personally, I stop propagating leaves by early to midsummer so the plant has a chance to develop before winter. Touch wood, I've not seen many pests attack Lovely Rose. However, Graptoveria can be susceptible to mealybugs, foliage and root as well as aphids. Aphids are most likely to attack when the flowers come up. Root mealybugs usually settle on root-bound plants. This is why checking on the health of the roots can be important. Bigger pests such as snails, slugs, caterpillars and grasshoppers can pose a threat too. The blooms are a typical Graptoveria. You can see a bit of Graptopetalum and a bit of Echeveria flower traits. They grow on a tall stem and open up yellow. Here in Australia, Lovely Rose flowers at the end of winter and throughout early spring, but this can be different in other parts of the world. This succulent is said to be non-toxic to dogs, cats, other pets, livestock and humans. Having said that, I would not advise making a Lovely Rose salad just in case. And that is all for today. I hope the video was useful, and if you have anything to add about this plant or would like to ask a question, you can do so in the comments below. To learn more about succulents, hit the subscribe button or go to succulentgrowingtips.com. Thank you so very much for watching.